Hey, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
We're
How are you?
back.
We're back.
It's been a little bit of a hiatus. School holidays, sickness, spa days, little day
I,
outs. But we're here. We made it.
I don't know how long was that. It's like a 3 week break.
Yeah, three
Yeah.
whole weeks.
People noticed.
I know.
Thank you for
I'm not
noticing,
I'm not wearing a
everyone.
jacket anymore because we've officially gone from the spring of deception into real spring slash summer.
Yes.
Very excited
Very
about.
good. Yes.
What have you been up to? What's like your top highlight?
Ah, other than the little day out with you last week,
So
spa
fun.
day.
Spa day. So good.
Well, since we've recorded one of these, our youngest has turned 5, and she officially started her little transition mornings at primary school.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, life is flashing by. I'm having a bit of a midlife crisis about how old I'm getting, but we'll talk about that another time.
Me too. Okay, number
You?
one, my grandma sent me a picture this morning of her, my uncle, and my grandpa from 1983 at like a Harley
Nice.
Davidson biker gathering. And they
Mm.
were probably our age. And I was like, we're going to get old if we're lucky, right? Like, that's a thing. They were cool and young once and did like wild things like Harley Davidson rallies. But then I saw another photo of myself as a teenager with like someone who I thought was really old at the time. And I just looked at that photo and I was like, he has fully brown hair. He was like 30. So, yeah, I'm right there with you. It's a lot. But with age comes wisdom, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
hopefully,
hopefully.
maybe.
Well, for our viewers to decide.
Yeah.
Well, on that front, we've been doing some brainstorming and thinking of
Mhm.
some heavy topics that could be really helpful for our viewers. And you and I have been talking a lot, and probably because we've been working a lot on this year, all
Yes.
things performance, and where first performance systems come into play, where they go wrong because there's so much intersectionality. And so over the next 4 episodes, we're going to start by like high level performance system strategy, then going into second episode, leveling competencies. How does that work into it? Because that's an intersection. Third thing, total rewards. If you want to incentivize performance with money, because everybody loves money, how and what does that look like? And then the fourth one, like how do you wrap that in a bow from a talent density, talent management perspective, and think about future growth of your business? And if there's anything else we're missing, we can throw that in as like a 5 because I like odd numbers. But what do you think? Should we dig in?
I like I like that. I like even numbers, but happy to throw in a 5. I know we're gonna spend 20 minutes arguing about odd versus even.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this 4/5 part series.
Great.
I think you're right. We've been working on this for so long, and not just this year, but like for so long all over our career.
Yeah.
But specifically this year, we've both had like some big pieces around one of these 4 pillars,
Yeah.
or 4 of them actually.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm really excited about exploring this, especially learning a lot from you because you're at the
Oh,
forefront
thank
of
you.
some cool initiatives that I'm keen for everyone to get to know.
Yeah.
But why don't you
Um,
kick us off on all things performance, Nick?
yeah.
Performance
Okay.
systems.
So I'll start with an aha moment I had
Mm.
only as a consultant. I never had this internally. And I think it was because tunnel vision, like I'm so focused on one culture, one company. I used to ask my question like very tactically. Do we have one performance review a year? Do we do two? Which one's the reflection look back? Which one's the go forward future state planning? All of that. And then I went external and I'm like, well, actually, every culture is so unique. You can't just ask the frequency question because you're going super tactical and you don't have a strategy yet. And going through a few different projects and different environments, what I've realized is you have to start by understanding what kind of performance culture you want to begin with. Everyone wants a high performing team. No one's going to be like, I'd like a low performing team. Right? It's like it's strategy in the sense that if the alternative is not a viable option, it's not a strategy, right? So like I want a high performing team is not a strategy. However, what kind of high performing team you want, that is the key. So I'll give you an example, like two amazing successful companies, Patagonia, Netflix.
Mm.
Netflix, everyone knows, they've seen the culture deck. It's like mediocre performance equals a great payout. Like they center themselves around a lot of manager enablement to drive high performance through individual contributions. And if you aren't a rock star performer in their talent density map at the end of the year, guess what? You're gone, even if you're a strong performer. That scares a lot of people, such as myself, from that culture, but that's intentional, right? Count people out before they get in. But
Mm,
what it does attract are high performers who are individually motivated and want to be around a bunch of other competitive high performers. And that works for their culture and they hire for that.
yeah.
Whereas a high performing culture at Patagonia is, and for those who don't know, it's like a clothing company out of the US, but I
Love it.
love Patagonia.
Yeah.
But if you listen to their founders and leadership talk, it is very much we hire for people who use our product. It's not like Netflix when I want to, hire people who watch DVDs. Like that wasn't the thing. Patagonia is like, I want to hire people who are outdoorsy, they like our product, they live our lifestyle, and by way of that, they are much more motivated by longer term visions and working as a team together to
Mm,
achieve those. And so both of them high performing, both money, revenue, but also culturally well known in good ways. Totally different strategies. And so how you piece together your system is then going to be very intrinsically linked to each of the things that you're trying to achieve in your hiring, in your retention practices, et cetera. So that's how I think about it now. And that's usually the question I start with a founder who knows these two brands. I'm like, do you want to be more like a Netflix or a Patagonia? And just listen to see what they say, because that in itself will tell me some of the key decisions we're going to want to focus on. What about you?
no, nice. Slight distraction because I love throwing like little detours in the
Ooh, yeah.
conversation. I
Yeah.
just want to tell our viewers about two different podcasts.
Ooh,
You
yes.
reminded me listening to your comparison of Netflix and Patagonia.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Netflix, check out Patty McCord, former head of talent,
Mm.
podcast interview with the Startup Podcast with Chris and Yanev. So check
Nice.
that out. And then if you want to learn about more about Patagonia, check out Vincent Stanley's interview on the Culture Amp podcast with Damon.
Mm,
Vincent is the Doctor of Philosophy, Chief Storyteller slash best job title ever
kind of
at
awesome.
Patagonia. And it's an
Yeah.
awesome podcast. They're both two cool episodes.
Mm,
And
love it.
if you listen to them back to back, you can pick up the differences that
Mm.
Nick you just shared. So slight
Great.
distraction and some podcast recommendation.
Yeah. We are the podcast referring podcast. I love it.
Yes,
I love
yes.
it.
Yeah, shout out to all the podcasters out there doing their
Yeah.
thing. Well
I
done.
love it. Love
Going.
it. So how do
Um,
you think about when you first sit down with a founder and they're
yeah,
like, how do I do this performance thing? Usually it's a reactive question, right? I want to promote
yeah.
someone or I want to, and it's like wrong question, but like, how do you initiate that conversation?
Or usually it's we don't have a performance system. We heard we should get one because it's like how
We should.
we've been told it's how you attract or retain
Yeah.
talent in a competitive landscape where we don't have other benefits to attract people to a, small company.
Yeah.
Um, at the heart of it is what is your understanding of what a performance system is?
Hmm.
It's just really starting with that powerful question of what's your understanding? What's your past experience with a performance system?
Yeah.
Often, and we in our first episode, we talked about the different founder archetypes and different
Hmm.
types of founders
Yeah.
have different range of answers.
Yeah.
Um, and some of them would be, I've never worked with a performance system. I don't actually know what we're talking about here today. All the way to I've worked in a large organization and it was all about ratings and
Mm.
yearly performance review that was linked to my remuneration with a performance rating. And as a people leader, I got to see a performance curve, the good old bell curve, and forcing people into ratings, and it was all too stressful and too systematic and inhumane for my liking. And
Yep.
a range of those answers. So it is back to your point around what kind of culture are you creating? Because it's such a strong pillar of the culture
Yep.
this work that we're talking about today. What's your understanding and what do you want to achieve out of this? And for me, my favorite answer is there's two parts to this. I want people to have clarity on
Yeah.
what they're working towards, and I want them to have feedback. And my
Mhm.
favorite part of feedback is actually feed forward, and a concept we introduce in performance systems. So when we're talking about the
Mhm.
details shortly, we can circle back to this. But I want people to know how they're going, and I want them to
Mhm.
know where they're going. And hopefully the strategy and the vision has
Yeah.
told the story around the why.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's I think a missing piece when companies scale. It's like we got the first two parts right, but then
Yeah.
we didn't link it back to our business cycles and how we make money. And then you get lost in translation. And so I think, taking those three pieces, it's key. And not over architecting it. I know sometimes and I'm guilty of this in very well staffed teams where we're like, we could do so much. And then like the poor company feels like it's in a never ending performance system like cycle because it's just everything at once. And so really thinking about how does your business make money? What are the peak times? When do you do your OKRs if you run goal setting? And when do you do the reflection of how the year gone by has just went and like what money you have to work with next year? Because all of that plays into it as well. But yeah, I get excited because there's no perfect system. I sort of look, and I'm curious about your process in this, Nick. I look at sort of three or four different things when I start to build one out. I look at how big is the company? Usually, like under 20 is going to look very different to 50
Yeah.
plus. And so,
Yeah.
like, where are you on your growth? What is your goal setting or like business cycles? Are you doing twice a year? Are you doing quarterly? Maybe something in between. And then are you looking to do something that is driving a certain outcome? Like, I just want to do a REM distribution for performance over the last 6 months or year, or I want to inform how many people get promoted and when the business need is there aligned to the individual readiness, or I want to give bonuses to people who are really high performing. How do I know who those people are in a very clear and equitable way? And so thinking about what are the outcomes they're wanting to drive, maybe it's all of them. Like I want it all. Like how do I package that all together? And then how does it thread through in the form itself? So this is where we get tactical. Like what form? What system? Is it Lattice? Is it 15.5? Is it Pando? It doesn't like ultimately what I say, as much as I love some of these more than others, it's like it doesn't matter what system or tool you use as long as the intention is clear, the communication is clear, and people know what's expected of them. And to your point, expectations and feed forward, feedback,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. It's those things. So
Yeah. Yeah, nice. I've got a couple of thoughts on that, which is I still remember like before Culture Amp, before all the systems, wonderful systems
mhm.
you've just mentioned, like once upon a time, a very long time ago, before my gray hairs were starting to show so damn obviously, I remember a time in an organization where I was working on like a Word doc
Mhm.
performance review template and then working out how to turn that into like an active Adobe PDF
Oh
thing
yeah.
that you can, I thought I was cool back then.
Check out this field. Okay, I know you're dating yourself, but I was there too.
I am really dating myself. I need to stop talking. Cringe, cringe, cringe. But I think about like those types of examples, and then all the way to how progressive it all is today. And then, in the future, there'll be some AI kind of
Can't wait.
whispering to you in your
It's
head.
coming. It's already there. I can share.
I think the one thing that hasn't changed is humans in
Mhm.
that in that sort of, decade
Yeah.
of change of systems and tooling
Yeah.
and organizational direction and the trends in HR and people and culture and so on. Humans at the center of this are still wanting clarity,
Mhm.
consistency, and a link between their effort or output to their
Yeah.
reward.
Yep.
Um,
Appreciation.
yes,
Yeah.
appreciation and like they want to know where they stand. No
Mhm.
one wants to no one wants to be taken by surprise or working in a toxic environment where it's always been
Yeah.
positive praise, positive praise, positive praise. You're the best thing since Nutella. Here's a 1% pay rise or something, ridiculous like that because of some
Yeah.
distribution model. So you have to think about the consistency of the narrative and
Hmm.
the feedback all the way to where that's linking to a reward or a promotion or whatever that's linking to. Remembering that there's a human in the middle of all of this is
Hmm.
really, you can't go wrong if you're
Yeah.
thinking about it from that perspective.
Yeah. But to your point, sometimes you get lost. And so it's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you're getting 1%. You're doing great. And we haven't promoted you in 3 years, like
Yeah.
without
But
context.
we love you.
Yeah, but we love you. Stick around. Wait, you're leaving? Here, take 20K. Take the title. It's yeah, we hear
Yeah.
it all the time, right? And so it really is tying that intention to the output. Um, I know we probably could talk about this all day, but if you had to give your three top tactical recommendations when it comes to once you figure this out, you know your performance strategy direction, you
Mhm.
know what your business cycles are. Now you're building out the thing, whatever that thing is. What would be your three guiding light recommendations so that people get it right or as close to right as they can?
I think keep it simple.
Hmm.
Always link it back to strategy,
Yep.
and it will fall apart if your strategy is not clear or if your operation, like what you're working on, isn't linked to your business strategy in and of itself. We should
Yep.
do a whole other podcast episode on that.
Episode
Um,
5.
yeah, episode, we're up to like part 20.
Yeah, part 2.
It's mini
Episode 5, part 2.
series. Um, and I think my third one is be courageous.
Hmm.
As it, and these are like pieces of advice to employees and people leaders
Yeah.
who are, partaking in the
Hmm.
performance system. Like, write it down, be brave, give
Yeah.
yourself the credit, be honest with yourself where things didn't go well and how they will, what you've learned, always what
Yeah.
you've learned from something. Um, and I think you've already got the hint in all of that is there's a bit of write it down.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing more powerful than writing down your reflection or just writing down your feedback. It's just so crystal clear and such a good way of making sure that it's as objective. I hate the word objective versus
No,
subjective. I hate those terms.
but they exist.
Yes.
So yeah, you want to mitigate bias however you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mitigate bias and just check how you're documenting your feedback.
Yeah.
Can I squeeze in like one word of advice for PNC team?
Yeah,
Well,
please.
you tell us your three. I'm up to like number 10 or something. Um, I'm not good with numbers. Um, for PNC, I think it's really important not to make this about a PNC initiative.
Yeah.
This is a people-driven system. Make it about the people. I've seen many teams that love elaborate performance systems and
Mhm.
complicated spreadsheets and a complicated behind the scenes process. I'm sorry, but is that to justify the BNC team's workload and
Yeah.
existence? Or is that to make sure the employee is having a good experience and the organization is able to measure performance and where the hell it's going and how it's
Yeah.
performing against its own, deliverables and strategy?
Totally.
Yeah,
I
over to
I
you.
echo all of your things. So maybe I'll just double click on three of them and give like tactics for the thing. So with this first one, which is like don't make it a PNC initiative, I'm so guilty of that, like in past jobs. One of the things I do now, which seems silly, but it's not, is I run a listening tour because I don't know their culture. I don't know their managers. And so it's a way to initiate change management is doing a listening tour. I would encourage every PNC person to do a listening tour, even though you're getting all the
Yeah,
feedback and you probably could make the right assumptions on those themes after your last review. Run an actual survey that you send out after your next review cycle, or meet with people one on one, managers especially, to hear what their experience has been and keep it really open ended and open minded about actually, this is a tool to enable our managers. So if 90% of them are struggling with the tool, whose fault is that? Right? Like, how do we fix it for them? So I would say, like, by centering the human, running listening tours, or even better, choose like a cultural champion who's not in the PNC team and bring them in on the project team to like bring different insights. I've done that in past too, which is great. And then the keep it simple, because this is the other thing I hear a lot when people, their system is like awesome, and then they go to build out their forms and they just go, I can't work in Word anymore and keep it to 2 questions. I have this like awesome tool and I can put 15 questions and like all these different rating scales and weighting systems. Don't do that. Think about who's writing the review and what's the right mix of macro feedback, micro feedback. And when I say macro, you are or you aren't meeting expectations. Like ultimately, that's the feedback I'm looking for. Where do I stand? Am I in like good? Am I good? Or like, should I be fearful? Like, do I have something to worry about? And then what can help me get better? Like those micro feedback pieces. Like if I could improve this behavior by 10%, I would do this. And then you would be amazing and get promoted and all the things. Like really balancing that with positive and constructive as well. And the easiest way to do it to make life easy for the people writing it is Mad Libs. And I am like a firm believer in this. I have not been, I'm terrible at Mad Libs because in school I could dyslexia. I can't remember the difference between like a noun, an adjective, and a verb. So like Mad Libs was not my jam. But what I mean by Mad Libs now in the context of a review is fill in the blank. So you might have 5 statements, mix of macro and micro feedback, and each statement is a fill in the blank that gets you to really meaningful feedback. And every company, both on the consulting front as well as when I was in-house, I did it with one company. Everyone raves about it. They're like, it turned a 2 or 3 hour process as a manager into 20 minutes. And that was incredible. So if you haven't heard of it, there's a great Reddit article from like 2019. I know it's a little dated on peer feedback, but it'll be the inspiration of how you then take that and move it into manager downward or manager upward feedback as well.
Is there a link to that we should drop into our
Probably.
post?
Yeah, I'll find
You're
it.
like,
It's in my archives.
is that work?
My archives. I also have like a really great template. So if anyone's listening and they're like, I want Nick's template, just send me a note. But I will send with our podcast the link to the Reddit article. So
Yeah, that'll be
cool.
good. Nice.
Amazing. All right. Well, we're probably at time or over because we're always over, but that's okay. Hopefully, if you're listening this long, you're going to tune in for next time when we talk about leveling and competencies and like how does that play in? Because I see this a lot where it's like I have my performance system, they're doing really well. Because they're doing well, I should just promote them, right? That's what I should do to recognize them. Maybe not. I don't know.
Can't wait.
You have to tune in to hear it.
Yes. Tune
All
in to
right.
find out.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you
Thanks,
next time,
everyone.
Nick.
Thanks, Nick. Bye.
Bye.